gone into septic shock, died for 2 minutes on the table, been resuscitated, put on a machine called extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, ECMO for short, to save his life, and then gotten a blood clot in his right leg. Clots are a risk of ECMO. The machine that saves you can also destroy you. Nick had internal bleeding, so they could not put him on blood thinners. But blood thinners were essential to breaking up the clot and getting blood flowing to the bottom half of his leg. His leg was turning black, slowly dying, and causing further trauma to his body. They had tried a small surgery, a fasciotomy procedure, to release the pressure caused by the clot, but it hadn't worked. For the last 3 days, the doctors had warned they might need to amputate Nick's right leg. It could potentially cause damage to the rest of his body if they didn't. Now, I had to make a choice. But there was no real choice to make. It was his leg or his life. I chose his life. "What time can you come in?" the nurse had asked me. I almost dropped the phone when she said it. I asked every day, but the hospital had told me over and over again that I would not be allowed to come see him. They had said it again that very morning as I cried on the other end of the phone. The hospital was closed to visitors. This call, just an hour later, took my breath away, the head nurse suddenly asking, "When are you coming in?" "Right this very second!" They needed me to sign a consent form in order to do the surgery, and because of Nick's state, there was a high risk he would not survive the amputation. It's hospital policy to allow family to visit prior to surgery like this, just in case it's goodbye. I had dropped everything and run out the door, leaving my half-eaten eggs and coffee behind on the table. My brother put Elviss, still in his pajamas, into the car, and we were driving 5 minutes later. The streets of Los Angeles were so empty under the safer-at-home emergency order that the drive, which ordinarily would take at least a half an hour, took only 10 minutes. The shock of the sudden car trip when we should have been eating an early lunch caused Elviss to go into tears. So to keep him happy, we put on his favorite song, "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You." You're just too good to be true. I sang this song to Elviss every day when he was in my womb. Nick would put a hand on my belly to feel his little kicks while I did. All Nick wanted was to be a dad. Elviss instantly calmed at the sound of it, and I looked back at my beautiful baby boy's reflection in the mirror. He was staring out the window, now calm and content, watching the world pass by his big brown eyes, Nick's eyes. I felt so thankful that he would never remember any of this, and also so sad that if anything went wrong today, he would never remember his dad. Nick hadn't been able to kiss him or me goodbye when I dropped him off at the hospital 18 days before. It was too much of a risk, so he shrugged and waved from 6 feet away. That had been our last goodbye. The elevator door opened, a right turn at the hallway, and there were the doors. I could see him through the glass immediately, lying in the corner room off to the left. I had been strong today until this point. I had accepted that this had to happen and believed it would be the thing that would finally start to change his progress for the better. But with that first glimpse of him, I crumbled. I saw for the first time what COVID-19 had done to Nick. Tears streamed down my face as I took it all in. I was handed a box of tissues that I emptied in 2 minutes. My surgical mask was soaked through with tears instantly, and I had to replace it repeatedly over the next hour. As time went on, bodies moved around him, preparing him for surgery as quickly as possible. But for me, it was happening in slow motion. Standing next to the glass looking in, I couldn't believe it was real. I never felt so sick or helpless in my life. That was my husband in there, my husband. I couldn't hug him, or comfort him, or pray with him, or tell him how much I loved him. His face was barely visible under the mess of tubes, lines, and machines around him. 3 giant towers surrounded his bed, lit up and flickering like skyscrapers at night. He was still asleep, but his eyelids were too weak to fully close. I could see his eyes, eerily half open. He looked nothing like the man I had dropped off just 18 days ago. Doctors and nurses in full PPE moved around him and slipped in and out of the room. Wearing a mask and gloves, I was allowed only as far as the glass wall outside his room, but each time someone opened the door to enter or exit, I screamed as loud as I could, "I love you, Nick!" "It's Amanda, honey."